Are you feeling overwhelmed, run down, and like you're constantly running on empty? You are not alone. Motherhood is the most rewarding job in the world, but it can also be the most challenging and exhausting. Between endless responsibilities, sleepless nights, and then trying to keep up with your little ones, it is so easy to neglect your own well being. But what if we told you that there's a way to navigate this incredible journey with more resilience and adaptability? In this video, we'll dive into the science behind why so many moms feel exhausted and then share some practical tips to help you prioritize self care and find balance. First, I want to share with you Alyssa's story. So, Alyssa was a new mom who found herself constantly exhausted and overwhelmed. She, of course, was obsessed with her new baby more than anything, but she felt like she was always running on empty. Alyssa tried everything from coffee to energy drinks to keep up with the demands of motherhood, but nothing seemed to help her. She hurt her back early in postpartum. She was in pain and she started to suffer from anxious feelings and couldn't fall asleep or stay asleep. It wasn't until Alyssa learned about the importance of prioritizing her own well being and then seeking help for her nervous system that things started to change. By making small lifestyle changes and receiving neurologically focused chiropractic care, Alyssa began to feel more energized, resilient, and able to enjoy the beautiful chaos of motherhood. By taking care of her nervous system, she was able to pour so much more into her family and their needs. So, I want to talk to you first about the science behind mom exhaustion, and then we'll dig into the things that you can do to help get you out of this vicious cycle. So often in our office when we see moms that come in, and as we dig into their story, what we find is that they are stuck on, sympathetic overdrive. So your nervous system, it has two different sides. Your sympathetic nervous system, it's responsible for that fight or flight mode, and we need that, right? You need that as mom, to be able to run around and chase your little ones or be able to handle emergencies very quickly. And then we also need that parasympathetic side of the nervous system, which is that resting, relaxation side. So both of those sides are so important and we need those. But so often as moms, like, you get stuck in sympathetic dominance, which is again that fight or flight mode. And when you're stuck in sympathetic dominance for long periods of time, your adrenals become exhausted. And so adrenals are, the body's stress response. So those are triggered when we are under stress, when we're in that go, go, go mode for long periods of time. And over time, when your adrenals are overactive, they become fatigued. And that is where, you end up in that cycle of chronic stress. And that again leads to an overworked adrenal glands. Having lack of quality of sleep, that exacerbates the problem. And that's where this vicious cycle comes in. So we begin relying on caffeine and stimulants. Then we're not able to sleep. And then we're constantly exhausted and stressed again and again, stuck in that sympathetic dominant mode. And so it's so important as moms, especially, to prioritize self care. And so, one of the best ways that you can do that is really by aiming for 7, 8 hours of quality sleep every night. As mom, me even saying that as dad, like, it sounds really funny sometimes because you don't always get to dictate how much sleep you get, but we definitely can do things to help prioritize sleep more often. I know for myself, there are times in life where, by the time you get all the kids to bed, you're so exhausted, but you just want a few minutes to disconnect instead of just going straight to sleep and having to wake up and do it all again. And it's so important, to, of course, minimize, that disconnect time and find positive ways, to disconnect. And so it's really important to establish a bedtime routine just like we do for our kiddos, and really creating a relaxing sleep environment. And so for some people that might be, dimming the lights, reading a book, taking a bath, whatever that looks like for you, it's very different for everybody. But really creating a bedtime routine that is calming and relaxing for you so that you can get into that sleep mode. And then, of course, trying your best to aim for 7 hours of sleep each night. Another very important thing is, of course, fueling your body with the most nutrient dense foods. As moms, so often you might find yourself, like, for lunch, just eating the less leftovers off your toddler's plate and then wondering why you feel like crap all day. And so, doing things to prioritize your own nutrition and your own health can set you up for success and make sure that you're able to, show up for your kids and take care of them even better on a day-to-day basis. And then also just making sure that you make time for activities and things that you enjoy and then bring you that relaxation and happiness. So again, that's different for everybody, but really setting aside those times either during the week or during the month that are just you time is so important. As moms, right? I know that it can be so easy to take care of, kind of take the load on and do all the things by yourself. And, we kind of get lost in that rut sometimes. And so I just want to remind you to not be afraid to ask for support from your partner, your family, your friends. It can be so helpful to lighten your load, even if it's just a little bit, by delegating some of those things. You have to get them done, but aren't necessarily important for you to do. Whether it's things like doing the dishes or something like that, delegating those responsibilities to other people in the home. And then, of course, asking for help. That is what your support is there for. When you are feeling tanked and exhausted and you just need a little bit more support, another helpful thing that you can do, is really focusing on regulating your nervous system. So remember, I mentioned the parasympathetic nervous system that is responsible for rest and relaxation. And, if we're in this, go sympathetic dominant state, it can be really hard to, pull us out of that state and into your parasympathetic side of your nervous system. And so, again, this leads to chronic stress and exhaustion. And one of the best ways that you can, get yourself back to more of a parasympathetic function is through neurologically focused chiropractic care. So for my family, having 4 kids, I see this day in and day out with my wife Ashley, constantly pouring into our family. And for so many of you moms too, trying to juggle being a mom and all the sleep routines and all the chaos that brings and learning all the things, and then also trying to work and just deal with, the stress and anxiety of it all. It is often so exhausting, but the greatest parent hack is going to see a neurologically focused chiropractor to have your nervous system recalibrated so that you can finally have that feeling of, just that feeling of finally being able to take a breath, that you can do this and just feeling clarity and peace of mind. And, you may feel right now that where you're at right now is just your new normal, just going through life, feeling tired, that this is just normal. But by adding in neurologically focused chiropractic care, you can finally experience what normal actually feels like and just feeling so calm and regulated and feeling like you can show up better as a mom. And that is one of the stories that I love sharing, watching it firsthand in my house, because I'll just never forget that contrast that I witnessed with my own wife in such a very short time with only adding in chiropractic care. She wasn't even doing all these other things that we hear about today to help regulate her nervous system. And so I just wanted to share that with you. It is so important to find a neurologically focused chiropractor that can help you find the root cause of your nervous system dysfunction and dysregulation. And that's the difference between chiropractors in general and the neurologically focused chiropractors. We're able to run insight scans and get a picture of what your nervous system looks like and where the stress exactly is, and make sure we're targeting those areas of exhaustion. What areas of your nervous system are working the hardest and oftentimes being overworked? And so we're able to get that picture of exactly what areas that is and target those areas so that we can help restore that balance between sympathetic and parasympathetic functions of your nervous system. And then with that, when your nervous system is more regulated, that's where you're able to sleep better, have better digestion and just feel better overall in your day-to-day life. So I just wanted to share, my own family story with you and just remind, moms, you deserve to be able to be your very best so that you can fully give to your family. By getting a neurological scan at Rising Health, our team can help build a customized care plan that's just for you so that you can be fully adaptable to all that motherhood brings. So click the link in our bio to read more about what we have going on for Mother's Day and how we can help you get started.